Okay. I think it was in Lucinda's opening statement that there was a mention of the Tea Party movement and smaller government, and one of the questions we have here asks what you all would do to reduce the size of government in Ashland and particularly reduce the tax burden in light of the economic downturn, and also to make sure that Ashland is curbing government waste. So I think we'll start, gosh, we started with Jim last time, so Lucinda, that question goes to you.
It's sad to say that even in small towns, there's a lot of waste. And we really hate to point fingers, but there is. That's just a reality. And one of those things that I believe, and it's my own belief, that I think small towns are just small towns, and that we need to focus on trying to save the money. And one of the things that I think, because big cities have town managers and assistants, but I don't think small towns need that, an assistant. So I think with trying to save some of the money, I would actually, if I'm on council, I will look at some of the salaries and try to curb some of those salaries and put them into other different types of things where we could save more money. And focus on the budget, because small towns you're dealing with small budgets, and you want to keep people in those positions, but most of the time you can't, because you're trying to save money and put money in other places where it's needed. And like I was saying before, that's why we have these small government type groups like the Tea Party groups that are really not happy with government because of the frivolous spending that they're doing with our tax-paying dollars. So with small towns, you got to be real careful, because it's our taxpayer money, and we want to make sure we know where it's actually going.
There's no question that this has been a rough year, but when people ask me, where are you going to make cuts, what are you going to cut back on, what I need to ask you is what you'd like to give up. I mean, it comes down to that. Every dollar that's taken in by the town gets spent on citizen services. What citizens pay in their real estate tax just about covers the cost of our police force and covers the cost of having your trash picked up. Year before last, the cost of having trash picked up went up 150%. Things cost a lot of money. And I agree that you have to be incredibly wise about who you keep on your workforce and who you don't keep on your workforce. What I will say is that of all the small towns of our size, within 200 miles, we probably have the lowest budget. If you look at Farmville, our taxes are significantly less, our business taxes are significantly less, our real estate taxes are significantly less, and yet we've managed on a day-to-day basis to keep going. And we do, in fact, have some fairly highly paid town officials or town employees. We have a town manager, and when we made a decision a few years ago to have an assistant town manager, we made that decision to hire somebody who had a serious background in finance, and I'm happy to say that the decision to hire that young man who is our assistant manager saves us more every year by far than we pay him in salary, because his background in finance has taught us a lot about how to improve our budgeting as well as how to get grant funding and do a lot of other things. So certainly we have had to learn how to cut back, and there are things this year that we will be cutting back even further. But in fact, I think for a small town, we do a pretty good job of budgeting.
I agree. No one likes paying taxes. Our budget is $7.5 million. I don't know if you know this, but our sales tax revenue from '09 to '08 was down 30%. That's a nice reduction. And what that really means is the businesses, their revenues were down that much. So we really had some pain in the town and in the town government with dealing with smaller revenues. And I think the town manager and staff has done an exemplary job of dealing with that. We really haven't had a big cutback in services. I think they did a wonderful job. They eliminated a lot of positions, froze a lot of positions. They saw the wave coming, and the wave's not done because, you know, the government revenue trails the general economy. And you see the cutbacks in the state. Well, guess where we get a lot of our money? It comes from the state. So that ain't over. We still have another pain coming next year. And I think thus far, the town management has done a really good job, and I applaud them for that. But it's not over. We'll have to keep being vigilant and working on that. I have a strong libertarian streak. I don't want government involved. That's why we broke away from the YMCA, and we do I'm very independent, but governments provide important services. And I think Faye said it well with, well, what do you want to give up? We have a trash collection. They come by, they pick up the leaves and the brush, and so we have a nice quality of life here. And a lot of it's funded by the businesses and from state funding. And I don't see anything I want to give up. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm willing to listen. I'm interested in looking at metrics. Sometimes I hear, well, this town has this particular tax that's much lower than Ashland. And I like to delve into that into a little more detail, but my understanding is that we do have a very low tax base compared to other towns. And again, I think that's just a reflection of good management.